Welcome to Align. This is a workshop, it's a strategy workshop for perinatal professionals to align their lives with their deepest values, their highest ideals, and their ultimate potential. This has become a cult classic or tradition for many people to do every New Year's, but if you are thinking about adding something to your life, like a new community service, whether it's placental encapsulation, becoming a postpartum doula, making that leap into becoming a midwife, or whatever it is, however you're planning on serving, this is something that will help you decide through body based intuition whether that is the next right step for you. I'm so pleased to introduce this material specifically to birth professionals because we believe at Brilliant Birth Academy that peace on earth starts with birth, and that supporting that first bond within the family, those primal connections, is the fountainhead of peace and acceptance that can flow to restore every other area of disconnection in our world. So, for those of us who want to make the world a little bit more like heaven on earth, to welcome the unborn into our common human experience and have it feel a little bit like where they came from, like source, like divine love. This is a presentation I'm so happy to bring to perinatal professionals because you guys are just doing some really important things. And so much of the just the pain in our world comes from these first primal connections not having the loving support and care that they deserve. So your work is so important, which is why you being resonant with your ideals and living from the immediacy of the wisdom that comes from your body is so important for you to be in touch with, and for you to be in touch with that really deep source of energy within you, which is your why. And we're going to teach you all how to access that in this workshop. And so, um, welcome to Align. And let's start first by acknowledging the gap between our ordinary lives and the extraordinary lives that we were born to live. And I want to start here because many of you, I just want to reflect back a lot of what I hear in clarity coaching calls. So even if you feel impoverished and overwhelmed, and like you don't even have any source to pull from anymore. You've pulled from your marriage, you've pulled from your body, you feel like your kids are paying for your birth business. I want to convince you that this will work for you by just reflecting back some of what I hear on clarity coaching calls. So some of you say, yeah, a lot of my dreams are half baked. There are really big reasons why the things that I want aren't happening. I have really complex problems, like very interconnected, complex problems. If they were easy to solve, they would have been solved by now. And my work to work on my problems, it comes underneath everyone. Like if my child just decides like, oh, I've nursed her 40 minutes and I don't want to nap anymore. My work time is gone. My needs come after the dog. The dog, actually, if the dog wants to be walked, my time is even underneath that. My husband's whims, and some of you are listening to this and you don't have nursing babies, you have teenagers, and they want to start talking at 10 p.m. and talk till 1 in the morning. And some of them have really complex problems that they're wanting you to be present to. So a lot of you feel like your dreams and desires and the things that are coming through your heart to want to do come beneath everyone else, and you feel like you're suffering, and that you're losing your connection and your influence on the people who matter most to you, that you lay in bed at night and you tell me, I don't even know if all this complexity that I've created in my life is even worth it. Like, I don't even want to be in the life that I've created. I said I was building my doula business or whatever it was to help my family. All it does is take me away from my family, and I'm miserable when I'm with them because I'm recovering from a birth, or I feel like I'm not making enough progress on my financial goals, and I felt like I had a calling to be a midwife, but like I don't know if I can keep paying the cost. Everyone is paying the cost. My marriage is paying the cost, my body, my kids. And I feel like I'm just constantly unraveling. And everyone around me, their lives are unraveling too. Their marriages are hard. Some are divorced. Some are in constant crisis. Someone had a miscarriage. Someone had an oops pregnancy. Somebody can't get pregnant. All of this takes up weeks of energy that I have at a time. And then a lot of you tell me that you're living in filth, unfinished chores, projects. This just wasn't the life that you wanted. It wasn't the experience of family that you thought you were sacrificing for. You tell me that a lot of times you feel like, well, the life that I'm building, I don't even want to be a part of it. And I am nagging to get my kids to participate in dinner, to get off their screens. And like, how can I blame them? I don't even want to be here. Of course, they don't want to be here. My husband doesn't want to be around us. You know, a lot of you told yourself that you would be somewhere different at this point, that the grind would be over, that the hard years would even out, but you're still finding that you're overdrawn. And so you have to take from somewhere else, somewhere else. You're overloaded with people constantly taking from you. You're drowning in your to do list and stuff and activities and problems and dishes and in laundry, and you feel like it's just never enough. And you're living in filth. A lot of you have told me my life doesn't actually reflect my values. I don't bring the presence or energy to my birth work that I envisioned offering. I have a lot of daily practices that are out of sync with my values. A lot of you tend to not finish things that are meaningful to you. There's more, I quit that than I finish that. And because you are so disappointed with your production, you don't have any sacred spaces in your life where you don't work. You work nights, you work weekends, you work on vacation. Hey, that's prime time. Your partner's the caregiver, and many of you work during that time. When you give your husband a break, he rests, and when he gives you a break, you go back to work. A lot of you would say I have general hopes for the future, but I can't actually tell you how I plan to get there. And the older that you get, the more that those business, those home, those travel plans, those family dreams, they get just pushed out farther and farther into the future. And at some point you realize there is no more future. Like the house that I wanted to have for my children, I'm not gonna that we're never gonna have a family home like I envisioned. They're all gonna be out of the house by the time I could reasonably, like it's not gonna happen in 2 years or three, it's not gonna happen. A lot of you have chronically unmet needs, not just in your birth business. You feel like you don't have the capacity to consistently meet core needs for yourself, your clients, or your family. You feel overdrawn financially, relationally, energetically. You're overdrawn. You have chronic excess debt, weight, clutter, work. And so if that's you, sorry, that was negative. That's the most negative we're going to be in the entire series. So just wanted to let you know that if that feels like you, this series will work for you. I want to tell you what Align is going to feel like for the next 7 days. It's really this this program is really centered around letting our life speak. I hope that even if you identify with everything that I read about filth and overwhelm and having a chronically dysregulated nervous system, that my intention for you is that you're going to experience this time together as a deep sense of coming home into who you really are. You're going to learn to access your bodily intuition and the truth of your capacity in a deeper way than you've ever experienced before. You're not just going to mentally understand how, where you want to go to get your realized. You are going to feel like in a bodily based sense what your actual potential is, and you're going to envision how you can start living your ideals and your dreams and doing that in a natural, loving way that will allow every part of you to flourish. It's so simple. It's so close. In this course, I want to amaze you with how simple and how close this experience of alignment is. It's closer than your breath. And the reason why is because a lot of times when we do things out of the left side of our brain, that's our thinking mind. It's the location of our conscious self, a lot of it. So we have these judgments and we have these stories of the challenges in our life and ideas about where we want to go, narratives about how we describe how we cope. Um, and that's where a lot of us live all of the time. But the right brain, which is connected to your body-based consciousness, the right brain is what experiences your life in all of its immediacy and in its fullness. It's linked with the limbic system, with the brainstem, with the heart and the gut. There are more neural cells in your gut than there are in your brain. There are surface cell receptors that are receiving intelligence, and it's this chemical, hormonal, physical intelligence that we are going to access. Your subconscious is like a supercomputer. It reads out things like people can tell the difference if two shirts have sweat on them and one of the sweat was from just like dance and the other one was someone in a fear situation, like they were bungee jumping and terrified. The body picks up on the stress chemicals in the shirt with the stress like pheromones in it. So the amount of information that your body is able to pick up and process its intelligence is so far uncompared to what the prefrontal cortex can process. You can't even memorize like 10 digits in a row, and your body can process unbelievable amounts of information, but your critical decision maker passes off as many jobs as possible to your supercomputer, um, because your supercomputer basically gives your prefrontal cortex like swipe files. Oh, you had this stimulus? Here's a swipe file for that. And when you really learn how this works, um, and access your physical knowing, your right brain way of knowing, you are going to be amazed how it changes your life, because you're going to be able to access those gut feelings, your heart centered feelings. This is a very direct, it's a non conceptual experience of your life. There's no judgment or evaluation. It really doesn't have any processing at all. And that's kind of the problem, is that subconsciously we have these programs that we run, and it is going to amaze you how simple it is to change these programs so that the things that you're doing that you run on cycle, that you can change what those cycles are so that you can truly live the life that you deserve, the life that your children deserve. The answers that you uncover here I hope will delight and amaze you, and they also will be obviously familiar and true to you in just the most wonderful way. So I want to convince you that no matter where you're starting from, no matter what your real limitations are, and no matter what you have to do to overcome these challenges and hit those really big goals, I want you to know by the time that we're done, down to your bones, that you can get there from here. I like the quote that says, every point in a circle is the perfect point to jump in. So this is about really what it takes to accomplish your dreams and aligning your thoughts and behaviors so that you can enjoy your days while you build a life and a family that you love, so that you are actively loving your life into existence and enjoying every minute and day of it. So you are about to become even more extraordinary than you even thought that you could be. My name is Stephanie Lind. And like I said, I am doing the series because I believe perinatal professionals are doing some of the most important work on the planet. And for me, I got to a place in my life where I had to make not just incremental progress. I realized that I was going to need to make quantum leaps in my capacity, my production, my finances. I needed a massive upgrade in my health and my energy levels in order to achieve things before my kids moved out of the house. My second daughter, Jolie, has Down syndrome. This is the family of her lifetime, similar to Beth and Little Women. You know, this is the family experience, the full family experience that I really wanted to create something special for her. And I didn't want to reach all my goals just in time for all my children to move out. I wasn't moving fast enough, and I knew it. So I hit the books, and I like to think of reading as sitting down for an afternoon conversation with some of the world's most successful people. And with books, many of these people have prepared for years articulating their very best ideas. So this course is sourced by over 50 books on high performance, neuroplasticity, neuropsychology, habit formation, positive psychology, motivation study, and the gift that I'm giving to you is essentially, if you were to spend the whole next year of your life reading one of these books, if you read one book a week, that's every night, all weekend, that's how much material is packed into this 7-day workshop. I took like 100 pages of notes. I did all of this before AI. This is actually my second recording of a line, which is very meaningful to me because I actually achieved all of my goals, and even beyond my goals. And so I am coming back to this and having proven its success, and I'm really enjoying recording it the second time. So I just want to give you the encouragement that there's over 50 books on high performance in this material. These are not my ideas. These are from some of top experts who are just prolific, engaged, compassionate, accomplished people. Many of them have just been studying one thing like how to get people to exercise more or how to get addicts to reestablish healthy choices in their life. And they are doing this with rigorous, thoughtfully designed studies. And the thing that was amazing is there was no conflicting opinions among all of the 50 books that I read. They often all quote one another, and they were just saying the same ideas over and over again because they work. So if it's okay with you, here at the 15-minute mark, after introducing myself and letting you know, no matter where you're starting from, this is going to work for you. I am going to take you through what we are going to learn in Align, starting with breakthrough mindset. So, the thing that was common to all the research is the idea that our subconscious, our nonverbal parts of our brain, is actually what is calling all of the shots in our life because our life is 90% habits. That's why goals don't work. It's because if you try and fuel a major change with your prefrontal cortex, it has a very limited capacity. And that is the reason why only 8% of New Year's resolutions are successful, and hashtags like resolution fails start trending on social media just days into January. In fact, even after a major like cardiac event, like a heart attack, only 14% of patients could make any lasting change around eating or exercise. The prefrontal cortex is just extremely limited with the amount of information that it could manage at any one time. Whereas the rest of our deep brain, such as our basal ganglia, it is a machine at recognizing and engaging in repetitive patterns. So our brain basically ditches out as many problems as it can to the more highly powered, resourced basal ganglia, which sees patterns and then offers a swipe file on the solution. So if there's a trigger, it says, oh, here's the solution. And that happens outside of your conscious awareness. Here's the download for that. Your intuitive body is calling the shots in your life. And that's why we're going to be lovingly engaging with it, nurturing it, healing it, restoring it, experiencing its wisdom, and surrendering to it. And one of the things that we're going to look through at in Breakthrough Mindset is how to examine your dominant strategies for getting your needs and goals met, because we keep repeating strategies. Our body is offering up to us if we have a stimulus of, I don't feel good, or I'm not happy. Our deep body just replays these. It's very intelligent, but it's not a critical decision maker. So it is just giving back the swipe files of what it was basically programmed to do. And the good news is that you can reprogram it once you bring these cycles up to your conscious attention. So I'll give you one example. I was not mothered by a person who was very emotionally attuned or caring of my emotional well being. And so I learned in my body at a very deep somatic intuitive level that to not have boundaries, to not have check ins around how well or unwell I was, because that was not relevant information that anybody interacted with. I basically had to march forward with my homeschool schedule. I really had a teacher, not a mother, and I had to keep that schedule in line unless I was really, really sick. If I was really broken down and like vomiting everywhere or clearly sick, then I got attention. My mother would stop and pay attention to me. I would get a pass from what was overwhelming me. And I would basically be excused from the thing that was really difficult. So if the only way that I get a sense to express personal need, enforce personal boundary, I don't feel like I want to be doing this, or any sort of attention. If the only time that I learned in childhood I would get that is if I was sick or in crisis, guess what I always was? Sick or in crisis. Because at a subconscious level, I only had two modes: high performance or sickening crisis. There was no sense of a body based intuition or awareness of I need to stop, or I need rest, or I feel overwhelmed, or any type of like helpful coping strategies that were given to regulate my nervous system. None of that. So what I found was is that I had to rewrite a new pattern, and the narrative loop that I was living in, it's actually very easy to rewrite that and to reset your habit loops. This is the beginning of an accelerated comeback story for you. And this is what breakthrough mindset is all about. So we are going to dip into neuropsychology, neuroplasticity, and talking about how easy it is to actually lovingly rewire your brain. This is going to demystify a lot of the current choices that are probably going on in your life on a daily basis so you can see the larger story that's playing out over and over again. We're just going to pull back the curtain just enough to expose the basic mechanisms of the brain and to give you an idea of what the neurological pathways of the brain are, how they're triggered, and how you can easily rewire them. The really cool thing about this is that it's easier to let go of a distracted and addicted lifestyle all at once than it is at tackling problems one by one. We're also going to employ some narrative medicine. Draft a life story that serves you better, learn how to live into that story, and open up to it within your body. I'm going to try and convince you to let go of criticism in exchange for self compassion and learn why the energy of shame and judgment just isn't the energy of change. We're also going to identify the top 5 limiting mindsets that perinatal professionals often have and the higher truth that can set you free to have alignment in your life. Another thing that I'm going to tell you about is we're going to look at how to raise your success points. This is something that I did not believe in originally. People talked about it and I was like, I just don't believe this is true. Like, I don't believe that I have a financial set point and I'm not comfortable being more financially successful than that. Like, I just don't believe this until someone framed it in feminine terms and I'm like, oh, this is totally a real thing. So we are going to look at how everything in your life is a reflection of what you believe to deserve, what your success set points are, and how to change that. Next, in What's Your Why, we are going to help you connect to the deepest source of the loving transformational power within you, and that's your why. Your why enables you to have alignment with this force within you so that you don't have to use willpower or external force on the other parts of you that are overwhelmed or sad or tired or don't want to work right now. Having parts of you divided and then applying force to the other parts isn't ultimately sustainable. We want to have wholehearted movement towards something that ignites your whole heart on fire so that you don't have to apply force to yourself. The momentum that's coming up and through your body carries you towards a goal that truly you are passionate about and that ignites and excites all of you. It is such a much better way to live. We are going to be touching that true self that maybe you've known pieces of it or you've kind of seen it in part, but you've never really known how to get down to it and extract that wisdom. Many of us have tried to experience ourselves through many different ways, like our actual true self, um, and what we really want. What do we really want? That is what we are going to uncover in this lesson. We are going to learn how to tap into that inner reserve, the energy that you have for life, the purpose that is almost scary to touch, but it will be amazing to you how it ignites you. Passion is similar to fire. When you're trying to start a fire, activation energy is 451 degrees, not 449, not 450. At 451, there is a spark and there is fire. There is activation. And what's gorgeous about this is if you just have a small flame, wind can blow it out. But if you have a raging fire, wind will only spread it. And the same is true when you come up with a plan that actually ignites all of you. The science is unequivocal about this, and I've experienced this. It's actually true. If you have a small goal that doesn't really excite you, there is a bigger chance that you will achieve your goal if it's really passionately what you want and it has a closer deadline. You will self-adjust and put forth the effort to actually make that deadline more than if you had a small goal like I'm just going to redo my apartment bedroom again that like doesn't really light your heart on fire. When you have something that is true to what you really want, the activation, passion that happens in your body so that you are out of bed without an alarm clock, you are excited, you are making progress towards your goals is unexplicable. And many of you people have said, I am scared. My husband is scared at who I've become. I have become this passionate, successful, amazing individual. And that type of energy coming through you is so powerful. Many of you have never touched this because you've never gone after something wholeheartedly. with all of the parts of you, not applying force, not towards something that's kind of a jerry-rigged half. It's like, well, I guess I'll, you know, go for this half thing that I think I can reach that's not really my goal. Um, One, if you don't have a goal, if you don't know what direction you're even going in, you're not going to try and do your best and move very fast. It's like being in the middle of the forest. It's like, why run? I don't know. I might just be getting more lost, you know? But when you know what direction you're moving in and you're moving towards it with your whole heart, many of you have not even experienced your capacity. The amount of life and passion that is coming out of you may actually be alarming to you at first when you are fully resonant, fully energized, completely powerful and effective, when you really go after your dreams. Many of you have never given your best, your all to anything. You're going to get to touch that and experience that in What's Your Why. In Keystone Habits, this was resonant in all of the books. The uncontested way high performance experts recommend that you change your life is not through goal achievement, even though I do use a little bit of that language, it's actually habit establishment because you are what you do repeatedly. Jim Rohn used to say, what is simple to do is also simple not to do. And the magic that is about to overtake your life is just the ordinary magic of doing simple things long enough for the compound effects to add up. So we are going to peacefully, joyfully create extraordinary long-term results with simple new habits. And we initially are going to cut things out. We're going to do less, not more. One of my favorite quotes by Leonardo da Vinci is he said, simplicity is the ultimate form of sophistication. But when you are going towards something that you want with all of your heart, it is so easy to give up that distracted, addicted lifestyle all at once, to not need those dopamine hits because you honestly don't have any serotonin. You don't have peace. You're not resonant with your ideals and your values and who it is that you are. And so we're going to actually encourage you to have daily decrease. And to eliminate before we are adding things. Alignment in your life always creates simplicity. In fact, as Matthew Kelly says, we oftentimes complicate our life because we don't know what we want. So as we go into what it is that our intuition and body is saying, we are going to learn how to align our life with our own source of wisdom through keystone habits. And this gets to, we're also going to apply some of the narrative medicine in breakthrough mindset because the modern paradox of the paradox of modern life is that common knowledge isn't common practice. We already know the things that we need to do to make us healthy, happy, and wise. We just don't do them. So we are going to be asking our right brain, which is more accurately understood as your body or your subconscious, we are going to be discovering what is the one thing, the one habit that if we implemented it would change so much of the rest of our life. And as we set our keystone habit, then we can set more habits to achieve more and more goals. And I think you guys are really going to enjoy this. The knowing that is accessible to you in your body, it is accurate, it's immediate, and it is accessible. It is accessible for you to surface that latent wisdom from your life, to learn to listen to it, to surrender it. And you can now teach this intuition to your clients for them to interact with their bodies and their babies. If you don't have this skill set in your life, it is going to be so transformative. You are going to be unrecognizable. I have never found a source of wisdom so reliable, so trustworthy as the divine love that's translating through my body. So we are going to listen to that to come up with a keystone habit because you are what you do repeatedly. Lastly, not lastly, next is processes and pathways. You have to enjoy the process because in order to reap the benefits of the compound effect, we need to make small choices consistently applied over time, and that's what's going to give us the compound effect, whole life acceleration, transfiguration as we consult our intuition on what is the next right step for you. We are going to tap into the source of wisdom that is with you at all times and learn to depend on it as a source of direction and wisdom. So we are going to give you the gift of allowing this wisdom to surface so that you know exactly what you want to do, what is the next right thing for you. And many of you will find that your feet were already on the right path. And we're also going to teach you how to direct your energy, because your energy is your energy and your attention are resources to manage. And the other thing is we're going to teach the skill of goal achievement, because whether you are achieving a small goal or really a big goal, a complex goal, they're all solved with the same basic process. And this is one of my favorite quotes on energy. And he says, the ultimate measure of our lives is not how much time we spend on the planet, but rather how much energy we invest into the time that we have. Performance, health, and happiness are grounded in the skillful management of energy. So in process and pathways, we really go deep into how to manage your energy and your attention, a whole bunch of skills around goal achievement and how to access these deeper levels of energy and the resources within us in order to create the last course, which is Masterpiece Days. Because if you want to have a great life and a great year, you need to have great days. Your year isn't made up of someday, it's made up of today. And like I said before, every point on the circle is the best place for diving into the center. So we're going to stop jumping around the circle trying to get to someday and dive in today. Our days are so valuable. This course is going to teach you to design your masterpiece day so you can bring your intention to planning when and where you are going to do your keystone habit to make sure that you do it every day. We are going to talk about AM and PM rituals, which is where most of us have the most control over our day, which sets up our whole day for success. And my intention is to convince you to do your keystone habit every day, except on Sabbath. We are going to talk about why Sabbath rest or your off or your recovery time is just as important as your time on for sustained peak performance long term. This is the linchpin to all of your peace and all of your well being. The highest performing athletes are just as serious about their rest protocols as they are about their training protocols. If you do deep work with deep passion out of the deepest parts of your body, then you need deep rest. All of nature operates in these ebb and flow um, rhythms. Even when a human soul is being brought into the world, there is this ebb and flow of this contraction and release. So we are going to talk about a regulated nervous system, how to be a woman of deep peace and presence, how to be restful instead of just ragged, trying to squeeze in extra work in all these different places, and how to really ground all of the different things that we learn, the professional insights, the tools, the processes. They can all just be something that we've heard if we don't ground them into the reality of our days. And the truth is that now, today, that is where the body lives. So much of this course has to do with building your intuition and listening to and trusting the information that's coming up and out of your body. If we did not have parents that taught us how to access that or value that knowledge, a lot of us just don't know how to deeply experience or touch our inner knowing. And there's nothing that can replace it. This is your primal birthright as a human, to understand how to be present with the body. The body is where love incarnates itself. It's where the depth of experience and freedom and the feeling of profound meaning and connection is present. It's in your body. The body loves. The body loves life. The body is the temple of the divine. And where the body lives is now, in the present. So as you become more resident and congruent with your ideals, your values, there will be less sense of needing to escape into someday, and you will become more present in today. Today, if you hear this voice, is the day to enter into restfulness, the rest and the joy of what your life could be at its best, where we find that we're constantly being refreshed, constantly feeling passionate, constantly being healed, constantly being loved, and loving others. We also have 12 brilliant strategies. This is kind of my dump file for everything amazing that didn't fit anywhere else. And so that's everything that we are going to be covering in Align. We are going to be going through breakthrough mindset that is rich with neurobiology, neuroplasticity, neuropsychology about how to lovingly rewire your brain. We are going to connect you to the deepest somatic sources of wisdom that are within you and ask what is not just the goal that I want to set in a peak state, but what are the habits that I need to live out every day in order to get there? And specifically, what is the keystone habit? The one habit that if I did this thing would get me there faster and would change more than anything else. We are going to learn to love the process and to focus on the now and the immediacy of the process instead of the end goal. And again, 50 books on well-researched studies. Everyone's saying the same thing. These are not just my opinions. These are things that I have implemented in my own life and have achieved a lot of the goals that I had when I originally made this recording. Um, but these are things that are well documented. We are then going to by experts. So I'm happy to bring all of this to you guys because focusing on the process and the pathways and the habits is really how we get to our goals. All of this can be very conceptual unless it is bedrocked into our day. So we're going to talk about masterpiece days, and all of that is designed so that you can live a life that is congruent and synchronous with your deepest values, your highest ideals, and your ultimate potential. Welcome to Align.